So it's a special episode of the GTHL Breakout Podcast today. I'm Steph Karate. I do communications for the GTHL, and I'm very honored to be joined by Mr. Willie O'Ree, one of the very few people in this world who needs absolutely no introduction at all. So thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. O'Ree.
Well, thank you. It certainly is a pleasure.
And for us as well. I know we were just chatting. I'm sure the last month and a bit has been quite a whirlwind for you. Have you had a chance to kind of come down from everything and reflect on what's happened?
Well, a little bit, but still there's some things still going on. And, as I said, February has been a real busy month.
Well, we're going to step back a little bit to the day that started everything. January 18th, 1958, you made history as the NHL's first Black player. At the time, lacing up the skates, stepping on the ice, did you feel the magnitude of what you were about to accomplish?
Well, no, not really. I'd been to the Bruins training camp on 2 occasions, in 1957 and in 1958. And then when I got the initial call from the Bruins to meet the Bruins in Montreal to play 2 games against the Montreal Canadiens. So I go to Montreal, and I'm met there by Coach Milt Schmidt and General Manager Lynn Patrick. And they said, Willie, and they said, we brought you up because we think you can add a little something to the club, the team. He says, don't worry about anything, just go out and play your game. And I just kind of relaxed a little bit until I stepped on the ice. But I had butterflies for a couple of minutes. But see, I was no stranger to the Montreal fans because I had played in the Montreal Forum against the Montreal Junior Canadiens, the pro team, and then stepping onto the ice and playing against the Montreal Canadiens for the first time was great. I'll never forget that night.
Well, quite a history there for sure. And obviously to get to that point, there must have been a number of challenges that you had to face and overcome. And in that adversity, how did you handle those obstacles to get to that point?
Well, first of all, when I decided to become a professional hockey player, my older brother, Richard, who was not only my brother and my friend, but he was my mentor. And he taught me a lot of things that I would need to know if I was going to choose hockey as a career. And he says, you have the skills and the ability, to play the sport. He says, there will be an obstacle because of your color. And he says, but don't let that bother you. He says, if people can't accept you for the individual that you are, he says, that's their problem, not yours. He said, just go out, work hard, and stay focused on what you want to do. And basically, that's what I did every game. I was called the N-word, I don't know, millions of times over and over. But my brother said, just forget it. Let it go in one ear and out the other. And basically, that's what I did. I just shut it out, concentrated on playing hockey and trying to be the best hockey player I could be.
And I know you've noted a few times, I believe, but did you feel support from the Bruins and your teammates in the room?
Oh, yes, definitely. I played for a number of pro teams, but, when I came to the Bruins, they always had my back. I mean, I fought a lot when I first started. I fought because I had to, not because I wanted to, but guys just wanted to see what I was made of. And, I went out but I kept it on the ice. And the Bruins were always there, to assist me. And, I always had their support, and I'm very honored and very thrilled to be a part of the Bruin organization. And what can I say that they retired my number, and there's not a bigger thing than that.
And as a player, did you ever think you would be this role model for so many of our game's players of color now?
No, not really. When I first started playing, I just wanted to play hockey and have fun. And as I moved up through the system and turned pro, and then went up with the Bruins, I just forgot about being black, and I just went out and worked hard. I had my eye injury, and that was a setback. But again, I didn't let that bother me. I could see out of one eye, and I just said, "Hey, you can still see, and you can still play. So, just keep on going."
Well, and it's funny that you mention that, because that's something that we're talking about challenges. As you said, you were legally blind in your right eye, which I believe was through an injury sustained playing junior hockey.
Yes.
So your entire NHL career was played and accomplished with that in itself, which is really, it would be an average or a larger than average challenge for any other player. But you also were pushing through that. How did you handle an injury of that nature while also doing what you did?
Well, it happened in my last year junior. I was playing in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada, and there was a slap shot, and I'm in front of the net for a deflection, and the puck come up and struck me in the right eye, hit me flat, broke my nose, and broke cracked my cheek. And I remember dropping down to the ice, and the next thing I knew, I was placed in an ambulance and taken to the hospital. Dr. Henderson was the surgeon, and I remember lying in my recovery room, and Dr. Henderson come in and stood by my bedside, and he said, "Mr. O'Ree," he says, "I'm sorry to inform you," he says, the impact of the puck completely shattered the retina in your right eye, and he says, "You're going to be blind." Well, I was 19 years of age, and I slumped back in my hospital bed, and the 2 goals that I had set for myself seemingly were gone. But I remember leaving the hospital, and within the next 5 weeks, I'm back on the ice practicing and playing. Now, I'm a left-hand shot, and I was playing left wing, but to compensate, I had to turn my head all the way around to the right to pick the puck up and to play over my right shoulder, and I was missing the net and overskating the puck. And I said, "Willie, what's wrong?" So I just said, "Forget about what you can't see and concentrate on what you can see." So my game, the season ends, and I go back to my hometown, and now I either have to turn pro or play amateur. And I was keeping my fingers crossed that I would be contacted by a professional team. And so when I came back home, my parents when I came back to play, my parents thought that I had recovered from my injury. They didn't know that I was totally blind. I told my younger sister, Betty, but I swore her, I said, "Sis, don't say anything, because if they find out that I'm blind, I won't be able to play pro hockey." So she kept it a secret, and I never told my friends, never told my close friends, never told my parents. So I get a call from Punch Emlack. He's the coach and general manager of the Quebec Aces, the professional team up in Quebec, Canada. And he said, "Willie," he says, "I watched you play the last couple of years. I'd like to invite you to training camp, the pro training camp." So I was all excited. I told my parents and I told my friends, "Oh, I'm going to the professional training camp." So I go up to Quebec and I make the team, but I don't tell them that I'm blind in my right eye. I said, if you can make the team just with one eye, just don't tell them, because I never took an eye exam. I never sat in front of an eye machine. The 21 years I played pro, and even when I went up with the Bruins, I never sat in front of an eye machine, because they would have found out. If I had looked and they said, "Close your right eye," and gee, I wouldn't be able to see anything. So we won the championship that year. I turned pro. The first year, I was a professional player. And I said, that's what gave me the extra confidence that I needed. I said, "Willie, you can do anything you set your mind to do." He says, "If you feel strongly within your heart, within your mind," he says, you can do anything. So I played that year, and then I went to the Bruins training camp, the next couple of years, and went up with the Bruins, played with them for 3 years, played pro for 21 years, and I can honestly say that I really didn't notice it being blind. After I lost my eye, and I could see out of my left eye, it was just when I was playing, there was just adjustments that I had to make.
Well, and to think it goes right back to the trust of a sister, right? She kept it for you.
Yeah. My sister Betty, God bless her. Yes.
And 64 years after you broke the color barrier, like we've said, number 22, raised to the rafters, retired by the Boston Bruins. And, for that game between the Bruins and the Hurricanes, it was also a former GTHL official, Shandor Alfonso. He was the second official of color to wear the stripes in the NHL. He was part of that game as well. So many very historic moments that night. But just to see the generational impact cycling through your jersey retirement, we have the second official of color on the ice as well. to have a night like that in the moment of watching your banner raised, how was that experience that entire night? Were you able to take it all in?
Well, I guess I was able to take it all in. The thing that I missed mostly is not being there in the gardens, you know, TD Gardens, to see my banner being raised. And I wanted to give thanks to the fans for their support and their love over the years. But I'm looking forward to coming back. Hopefully in April, we're going to have the Willie O'Ree Skills Weekend in Boston. I think the first week in April, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So hopefully I'll be coming back, and I will be attending a Bruins game, I think, on the 2nd. So I'll be able to just to thank the fans and just let them know how grateful I am, you know, to be at the Gardens and to just look up and see my banner up there in the rafters.
And if you could describe that feeling of watching the banner slowly raise, what words would you use?
Oh, it just awesome, really. It was just awesome to, you know, to see the young boys and girls there from the SCORE program, the Hockey's Forever program, and Ensign Carter there with the kids. It was just so wonderful, and it's a day I'll never forget.
And that night, there was a quote you said, and I might be paraphrasing, but it went something like, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a black man or a brown man, I just see a man. And since then, it has been quoted a few times, especially in the GTHL circles, once in particular by Wayne Simmonds, actually, who spent some time with a few of our current GTHL players of color just to chat this past month. And that quote is so simple, but so effective in that it's obviously resonated with people like Wayne Simmonds in our game and to make a difference. So what does that message mean to you, and what do you hope it also means to others?
Well, it just means that you just have to be yourself. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to like yourself. And again, you know, I've always just tried to be the best person I could be. Being the youngest of 13 children, you know, my growing up was very strict, and I just had to thank my parents for their constant support. But you know, it just I have that phrase that Dr. Martin Luther King, you know, he says, "Don't judge a person by the color of their skin, but the content of their character." And there's so much truth to that, you know. You just look at a person for who they are and look beyond the color of their skin.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, you can't see beyond the forest for trees. And there's a lot of truth to that, you know. A lot of people they look at the forest, it's just all trees, all forest, all. But when you look on beyond that, there's so much better.
Absolutely. It's a great analogy. And you know, one day after your jersey retirement, like we've touched on, things just kept going, rolling, so many more milestones for you. And so one day after your jersey retirement, the U.S. Congress's highest honor was bestowed on you, and it was a unanimous vote. And I want to also emphasize the unanimous vote because it was 426-0. And so well deserved. And for those who don't know, the Congressional Gold Medal is awarded to individuals or groups for distinguished achievements and contributions. So recipients include George Washington, Jackie Robinson, Martin Luther King Jr., and so on. So what does that honor mean to you?
Oh, it's awesome, really. You know, again, I've been blessed over the years. I really have. And I've said this in numerous interviews. There's just so many wonderful things that have happened to me, and I never thought that in my lifetime that these things would happen. But it just seemed that, you know, as the years went by and the days went by, and I just kept on doing what I thought in my head that I that I should do. And the Congressional Gold Medal, there's just so many wonderful congressmen and women and people behind that made this happen. You know, I can't thank them enough for those individuals that made it happen. And I just say thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I am curious because I know this was obviously a long process. I believe it began in July of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But how were you told about this honor? I'm curious to know how that was announced to you.
Well, actually, a very dear friend of mine and a close friend, Rob Willie, he works for the National Hockey League, and he was the one that actually said that there is the possibility of you getting appointed for the Congressional Gold Medal. Well, it kind of went in one ear and out the other. I said, there was just so much that had to be done, and then all of a sudden, there were write-ups in the paper, and then I had been to Washington on a few occasions, and I went, and there were congressmen there, and that I had met, and congressmen women, and they just said, yeah, they said there's the possibility, and so it just kept going, and then all of a sudden, they made the announcement right after the day that my banner had been raised up in the gardens.
So it's just one overwhelming thing after another for you, but
yes, yeah,
all rightfully deserved. And with that, it's more than just the history you made on the ice, because since 1998, you've served as the NHL's diversity ambassador. And in that, you've helped establish 39 grassroots hockey programs across North America. And that's part of the Hockey is for Everyone initiative, which has inspired more than 130,000 boys and girls to play the game. So all hard work to make that difference. But when you first became the NHL's diversity ambassador, almost 25 years ago now,
yeah.
What was the main thing you were hoping to accomplish in that role?
Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that every boy and girl that wanted to play hockey was given the opportunity. That's when I retired from pro hockey and I decided I wanted to stay relatively involved with hockey. I felt that I had something to give back to the sport and give back to the community, and working with the boys and girls and helping them set goals for themselves and work towards their goals. And I was using myself as an example. When the doctor told me I'd never play hockey again, I just couldn't accept that. He was a fine physician. He did everything humanly possible to save the sight in my eye, but there was just too much damage. And I just says, I'm just going to prove him wrong. And I went out and was able to play hockey for 21 years. So I tell these boys and girls, you can do anything you set your mind to do, but if you have to feel good about yourself, like yourself, and believe in yourself, and don't let anybody tell you can't attain your goal. If you set for your mind and your heart, that's what you want to do, then make it happen.
Well, and 25 years later, almost 25 years later, in this role and everything that you've accomplished, working as the diversity ambassador for the NHL, what are you most proud of?
Most proud of, given the opportunity to be involved with the Hockey is for Everyone program. And I have to thank Commissioner Bettman. I also have to thank Kim Davis, who works in the diversity efforts. She's just been tremendous. I haven't talked with her for a while, but she has just been a godsend, and she's made so many things happen. And the programs are in existence. That more kids are playing hockey today than ever before, and so that's what I'm happy about. That I was able to be instrumental and talk to so many boys and girls when I was traveling before the pandemic and the coronavirus. I was traveling around to numerous elementary schools, middle schools, junior high, high schools, boys and girls clubs, YMYWCAs, juvenile detention facilities, just hoping that I'd get the opportunity to let these boys and girls know that there is another sport that they can play, and if they want to, and just letting them know that anything is possible.
Well, and in today's discussions around racism in our game, especially recently, What are your thoughts around progression of diversity in our game today?
Progression. Well, things are a lot better than when they were when I first came into the league in 1958. I was the only black player. There were only 6 teams in the National Hockey League. It was called the Original Six, 2 from Canada and 4 from United States. Now we've got 31 with the addition of the Seattle Kraken. So things are getting better. Things are working in the right direction. And I can just honestly say that the boys and girls that are playing in organized hockey today, I'm hoping that they're having fun, because hockey is a fun sport, and I'm just hoping that they all continue to their education and set goals for themselves and work towards their goals. Goal setting is so very, very important.
And you're obviously someone who's used your platform to do so much good. And for the players today who have that platform, how important do you think it is for them to use that platform themselves to make a difference in whatever cause that is close to their heart?
Oh, well, a lot of the black players and players of color that are playing in the league now, they're working with the different programs, and I mean, they're role models to these boys and girls that are playing in their leagues, and they look up to these players. And I know a lot of them have the opportunity to go to games and go to different functions. And it's just awesome to see the look on these young boys and girls' faces when they go, and maybe they don't have the opportunity to meet the players, but maybe they're just there and to see them, and it just makes a big impact on them.
What do you think the key component is, in your opinion, to continuing to make our game more inclusive and welcoming for all?
Well, I just say word of mouth. Just let everybody know that hockey's a fun sport. It should be played by every boy and girl that wants to play, and just for the parents, just to make sure that they give the support to their boy or girl that's playing in the game.
And we're not going to let you go before we tap you for some more advice. So 2 more. First, if there's one thing you want boys and girls everywhere to know about the game of hockey, what would that message be?
To know about the game of hockey, it's a fun sport. It's a contact sport. If you get knocked down, get up. If you get knocked down, get up. If you get knocked down, get up. And work hard. There's no substitute for hard work. You only get out of a thing what you put into it. If you go out and work 40%, don't expect 80%. If you go out and work 100%, and then pat yourself on the back, because that's all we can expect of you. But you have it within yourself. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to feel good about yourself, and work hard.
And for the adults in the game, parents, coaches, officials, volunteers, and so on, they're ultimately the leaders of our game. What is your message to them?
Give support. Make sure that you give support to your daughter or your son or your nephew. Make sure that you have the support, and I think that's all we can do.
Well, Mr. O'Ree, it has been a pleasure chatting with you. So many important messages and such a storied career and so many accomplishments that is just puts everyone else in awe. So we're truly, truly grateful for you to give us some time today to chat. Definitely a role model still for so many boys and girls in our game. We hope you get some downtime now to relax and take everything in.
Well, I've got a couple more things on the fire, but I just take them a day at a time, and just have fun. And as I mentioned earlier, man, I have been blessed, and I just wish my parents were alive to just see some of the things that I've accomplished over the years. They'd be tickled.
I'm sure they're taking it all in, very proud.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and listening to this very special edition of the GTHL Breakout Podcast. We'll be back with so many more great off-ice stories, just like Mr. O'Ree's.